Good morning, everybody. It's Jess here. I'm doing Thursday this week instead of the usual Monday. And this morning we are going to just spend a little few minutes looking at Mark chapter 14, verses 43 to 52. I'm going to get straight into it. So it's been 3 years that Jesus and his followers have been on the road, seeing miraculous things happening, learning so much about themselves, about the way that the world is, and how Jesus says it should be. They've seen morsels of food feed the thousands, the dead raised back to life, human beings walking on water. Hi, Nick. The fulfillment of all of these predictions or prophecies that were made hundreds of years earlier. And now we're reaching the crescendo of the story. The moment all of this has been building towards is finally here. Jesus is about to be arrested by an armed crowd of men, including Judas, a guy who has seen and experienced all of the things that I've just mentioned. And Judas is often thought of, I guess, as this shifty guy who is only rolled out at the end of the story. He's rolled out to do his bit. And I think that there's probably a lot of complexity to Judas that we won't go into now, but I think that it matters that this guy has been in Jesus's inner circle pretty much from the beginning. He is not a pantomime villain that's appeared from nowhere. And we're reminded in these verses that all of what is happening is to fulfill what the scriptures say. And Judas has a pretty bleak role to play in that. Basically, Jesus knows everything that's about to go down. He knows who will betray him. He knows how, and he knows what will come after. And I was thinking, I don't know if you've ever been pulled over by the police. I used to own a red Ford Escort and live in a very dodgy part of Wakefield and then Leeds. And I would often get pulled over and feel this horrendous rush of fear and anxiety, even though I knew I had done nothing wrong and all would be well. It was like my body had this instinctive reaction. And put yourself even in the shoes of these guys here. When scores of men rock up with weapons and there's essentially a standoff, you are outnumbered. The tension in the air is palpable. You've just witnessed your friend, your best friend, your mate, Judas, one of your closest companions, betray to almost certain death this man who has changed your life. What do? Do you whip out your sword like Peter does and lash out? Maybe. Between Peter and Jesus, we have these extreme examples of composure versus confrontation. And we can't underestimate the intensity of this situation, but also just how much Jesus was in control of the situation. He speaks calmly and with an almost authority. And in the book of Luke, which is another sort of account of this in the New Testament, it tells us that after Peter chops off the ear of this guy called Malchus, Jesus heals it. He heals the ear of this guy who is there to capture him. This is who Jesus is, that in the midst of all of this horrible, horrible situation, he chooses to reach out and touch and to heal a person who is against him. And, they're seeing this, aren't they? These soldiers, these men. They are seeing this firsthand. They witness this Jesus do what only he can do. And after this happens, the disciples desert him, just like Jesus said they would. They run away. They know they're probably about to be captured with him and they're off, they're gone. And verse 52 speaks about a young mystery bloke who's wearing only a linen cloth lagging at the back. And he is the guys, they attempt to capture him. And it ends with him slipping out of the cloth and running off naked into the night. That is some serious fear right there, isn't it? That you would risk being seen naked running through the surrounding areas over being captured by these people. I guess this morning I wanted to paint a picture of what's happening here and draw out the humanness in the fear of the disciples. In many ways, they failed Jesus and they failed themselves. It sounds a lot like me. I know I would have reacted no differently in that situation, and so much of what unfolds here mirrors where I find myself in life most of the time. Thankfully, it also mirrors what Jesus does for me all of the time. I may not have cut off someone's ear, but I do lash out in different ways, and Jesus can heal that and make it right. I do run away from things that scare and overwhelm me, but Jesus stands in the gap with authority and ultimately takes the flag I deserve. Because, let's face it, Jesus is God, and he could have got out of this situation if he wanted to, but he chooses to stay. He chooses to let these guys take him away to his death because he loves me, and he doesn't want me to have to pay the price for all of my failings. He says, no, I'll do it. I'll take it on. And I just want to leave you with this thought. This stuff didn't just stay in the past. It says in the book of Hebrews, which is another book in the New Testament, and it's in chapter 7, verse 25, if you want to look at it. It says that even in this moment and into eternity, Jesus is praying for us. He's pleading our case in heaven right now. He's still standing in the gap and being all that we cannot be. God, in the form of a man, comes to earth for no other reason than to live, to learn about our humanness, and to die so that we can always, always be with him forever. Amazing.